This graph is showing resultant net force. So player number 1 has the lowest resultant net force, number 2 has the highest resultant net force, and number 3 has the mean one. So the lowest score was 199 newtons, the largest score was 680 newtons, and the mean score was 400.31 newtons. So it shows that the mean score was actually quite low for resultant net force, which means on average most people taking part scored quite low for this resultant net force. There's quite a big difference between player 1 and 2, so the lowest score and the largest score shows the range between the scores was quite big. And it suggests that most performers were quite similar, as obviously the mean is 400 and then the largest score and the lowest score are quite far away from that, so it shows that these were anomalies in some way, like these two performers were out of the normal score line. This chart shows net impulse. So obviously you have number 1 the lowest score, number 2 the largest score of 276 n.s, and then 201.77, and the lowest score was 126. These scores are all quite close together, which shows that net impulse doesn't have too much difference. And the largest and the lowest scores are actually quite close together, which shows that the range is quite small between them, and that it was quite hard for performers to score quite highly for net impulse. This graph is showing the duration of phase. So as you can see, the highest duration of phase was 0.633, the lowest one was 0.405, and the mean was 0.53. Again, these are really close together. So duration, it shows that duration of phase is all quite similar, because they were all doing the same thing, so it shouldn't have took them much longer than each other. And the lowest and the largest don't really need to have anything to change or improve on, really, because they're both quite close to mean. The lowest performer needs to try and obviously make the phase a bit longer, and this will obviously cause his other things to go up, like net force, etc. But overall, there's only 0.2 seconds between the largest and the lowest score. This graph is showing mean velocity. So the lowest score, number 1, was 2.3. The largest score, number 2, was 3.5, and the mean score was 3. So the mean is closer to the highest score, not the lower. So it shows that the lower person performed worse, rather than the best performer performing like a way out of the mean or the normal score. So therefore, the person with the lowest mean velocity definitely needs to work on their techniques or to get a better mean velocity. Mean power in watts. So the lowest score, number 1, was 523.98. The largest score was 2,329.75, number 2, and the mean was 1,253. As you can see, was number 3. There's quite a big difference between the largest score and the lowest score, which shows that performer number 2 really overperformed, as it is further from the mean than player 1's score. But player 1 definitely needs to try and improve to get closer to the mean. But the mean is still quite far away from the lowest and the largest score, which shows generally that most performers, except from a couple, got around the 1,000-ish mark, whereas that a couple of performers got really low and really high. acceleration. So as you can see, player number 1 is the lowest score, 4.16 meters per second. The largest score was 8.45 meters per second, and the mean was 5.89 meters per second. So the max score had way more acceleration than the mean and the min score, which shows that most people score quite low because the lowest score is quite close to the mean, whereas the largest score is quite far away. So therefore it shows that just one person had a really good score and the rest scored quite low and average acceleration. This shows that generally people need to work on their acceleration so that they can try and get up to the highest score a bit more, so that the mean goes up a bit more. And finally, this graph is showing the time in air in seconds. So the lowest score was 0.4 seconds time in air. The highest score was 0.63 seconds, and the mean score was 0.51 seconds. This is related to the duration of phase, as that was quite low and quite close. The scores were all quite close together. The best and worst performers still scored quite close to the mean, so close to the average, so they weren't doing really well or really badly. They were just a bit lower or higher than the rest of the group. Shows that the lowest score needs to try and work on his time in air a bit more, maybe so then if he improved his duration of phase, then his time in the air would probably go up as well.